Hey everyone, this is the Heroes Podcast. I'm so glad to have Donna Tashjian here with me. How are you?
I am doing fabulous. How are you today?
Oh, thanks. I was really keen to hear the story of yours, but before we go into the background and all the things that happened to you, I just want everyone to know who you are so they want to stay on the call. Donna is a down-to-earth inspirational speaker and storyteller. She has been speaking and coaching for over 25 years, and she is the founder of the Vibrant Living International, an ordained minister and author, and host and founder of the You Were Designed for Greatness. Well, I want to know more about that. This is a podcast, and she has been married to her wonderful husband for over 38 years, mother to three, and grandmother. She loves flowers and time in nature, and you will always see her with a cup of tea. She has a passion to help you reach your full potential. I'm excited. Do you want to tell us to start with when maybe you haven't unlocked your full potential background, maybe early years of your life? Did you have struggles around self-worth or confidence?
Oh, yes, definitely. Which is why I'm here, right? Yes. I think I'll begin my story on a hot July day in Texas. I don't know if you've ever been to Texas, but when it's hot in Texas, it's hot. And I was standing in front of the bathroom mirror crying. I had just turned 15 and I was counting. And I got to 4 and said, I can't be pregnant. But I was. I had been traumatized months earlier and found myself expecting a child at the age of 15, talking about fear and just paralyzed, uh, unknown, freaking out, just crying, not knowing what I was going to do or how things were going to work out. Um, to say that the next years were hard, I don't have the adjectives. I did have a beautiful little girl, so that was a blessing. And I raised her. So I became a mom at 15 and hadn't finished high school yet, didn't know what, I mean, all of my plans, all of the things that I thought was going to happen. And having some other childhood trauma added to this event occurring. And so all of a sudden, uh, nobody's ever going to love me. I'm shame. I've got shame. I'm not wanted. All of those things. My parents did. I did have a home and they did help with all of that, but trying to figure out what to go from there. So that was the beginning of a really quest to figure out who is Donna? Is Donna this thing that happened to her? Or is there something more?
Let me ask you this. Like, how could you even finish school if you did? I mean,
I did.
you did.
I did. Yes. Well, we're going back a few decades when this occurred. But it would have been similar to a homeschool situation, but it was called a correspondence course school. And you actually mailed in your homework and they graded it. This is before internet, guys, so we're not doing it online. We actually took physical tests, mailed them in the mail, they graded them and mailed them back. So I finished high school be in my 16th year and right before I think before right before I turned 17, I finished high school. So yes, I did, and I have a diploma.
Wow. And how did you move on with life? It would have been really difficult to relate to. Wow.
Nobody my age got me. You know, they're out going to proms or dances or movies or whatever, all of those kind of things, and I'm trying to get a child to sleep and figure out how to buy food and all of those kind of things. So yes, there was isolation when there, and I was very isolated during the pregnancy as well. But I got my first job when I was 17 and then 18, a full-time job. I was in my own place shortly after I turned 18. Um, and so figuring all of those things out and how to, and the thing that brought me through for me in my story is God. At a young age, I had a relationship with God. And when I was isolated, that was all I had. There was no people, there's no text messaging to connect with anybody. There's nothing. There's just you. And so that was all I had. And so I began to have revelation on who I was created to be, that there was something bigger than what I was going through to bring me to where I am today. So that was the beginning of my journey.
I'm wondering how did your parents could support you through this? Because you said at age 18 you had your own place, which tells me probably you owned or bought a property.
I rented.
I rented, yeah.
Yes.
Still, it's a rough start. And
It's a very rough start. Yes. I had been living with my parents up to that time, and they had decided to move out of the town that I was in. And I had a job there. I had met my future husband at that point, and I didn't want to leave. I had a full-time job, I had a babysitter, all of those kind of things in place. And so I began to look for an apartment and was very tiny. But I had a place, and there were days where I wasn't sure how I was eating. I applied for government assistance, and I made $1 too much to get any government assistance. Now, they told me if you want to stay home and not do anything, then we can help you, but that wasn't who I was. And shortly after I started in my full-time job, they offered to help me with a college course, and I began to take one class a night while raising a child and working 40 hours a week.
tough, tough life to start with. How did you get through this? What has so you said God was the main
Yes.
help that you have received guidance. How did that happen?
Uh, well, when I got into the Word of God. I'm a Christian, so when I talk about God, I'm talking about Jesus and God, and that's where I'm coming from. But I applied God's word. His word is true and it never fails. And I've proven it because one of my verses that I had during that time is says your kids will not ever beg for bread. And when I didn't know how I would eat, I would say this, and I would always make it. I would always find a way to figure it out. There would be some kind of provision, something would happen. So I applied God's word and walked it out. It wasn't just a Sunday morning sermon. This was life where I walked it out every single day, relying on God to be my provider.
And did you manage your relationship, keep your relationship with your parents through
Yes.
these changes?
Yes. It was rocky. It was rocky for a while. But yes, I did keep my relationship.
And what was the next step? I understand you sort of learned your journey, or how did you see those next steps, and what were they in this relationship with God?
Mhm. Well, it was just continuing to grow, and you can be told, like when my husband or my would tell me that I was beautiful and that he loved me. We have this joke now because we've been married 40 years now, so I need to update my bio. But I would say what, and he would say it again. you look beautiful and I love you. And I'd say, what? And he'd say, you look beautiful and I love you, because I couldn't believe it. And so it was a steady process of beginning. Just because you're told something doesn't mean you believe it. And so learning to be able to believe the truth is a big key, because we can be told things all the time. Even God, God spoke to my heart about things. I was reading his word about that I was miraculously and marvelously made with a purpose and a destiny, and that I had good plans for me. But walking it out and beginning to believe it is another thing. So when I was married, I extremely low self-esteem. I hid in corners. I didn't figure anybody wanted to talk to me, which anybody who knows me today cannot believe that kind of story, but it was true. And so learning to be able to step into the identity is a process of learning to reinforce what the truth is when we hear the inner critic telling us something different.
So how many years have you been in the process of stepping into this maybe
Mhm.
more mature or worthy identity?
I think a big shift probably happened about 20 years ago. Um, and so there was some other events in my life. I thought I was doing pretty good, and all of a sudden, some self-doubt started to show up again. And at that point, I hired a coach. I'd had mentors, I had people that had spoken to my life, but this was somebody that I paid for. And that was when some deeper transformation began to occur. Someone who was really skilled, not just someone who did it on the side, kind of a thing. So that was when, because I thought I was doing pretty good. And then I had the rug pulled out from under me, and all those self-doubts started showing up again. And then I'm mad at myself. And then I'm judging myself. You know better. You've been helping people for decades, and all of a sudden you're dealing with all of this again. So that was, but it was probably about 20 years ago.
And the brand, this brand, and also the journey that has taken you, the did you found your business after that breakthrough with that coach?
After that breakthrough, yes, that's when Vibrant Living was born.
Clarity has happened. I mean, I love to hear these stories because I think coaches are the healers of the world, and
Absolutely.
physically, mentally, emotionally, they're rebuilding
Worth,
people.
worth every penny. The problem is we don't think we're worth it when we do it, because I didn't. My husband said, we're doing this, you're worth it. But we don't always have those kind of people in our life. So it's hard to sometimes make that initial investment in ourselves, because we're not investing in the coach, we're investing in ourselves. And when we begin to realize that, or we make that and some sort of investment in yourself, the growth goes exponentially, because you put you're going to show up. They're not just somebody that's doing it for free. You have put an investment in yourself, and you're going to show up differently, and the transformation happens differently.
Yeah, especially if money is a bit tight and it's really at the threshold of I'm not too sure if I can afford it. Like I really love people who are moving mountains to be able to have that coaching relationship, because I think commitment and no plan B and C is is
Yes.
absolutely almost like a must have to the I love rapid transformations, and I don't want to work with people for years. I think they deserve better and faster. How do you see this? I think decision, commitment, and right tools, coach, mentor, therapist, whatever is in place, I think that's the recipe.
Yeah, I agree. And we're in a little bit different line of work. I do help people with some rapid transformation as well, but I am an ongoing to help you create the life you want. So people stay with me for a while. I love to help people uncover their destinies. One description someone gave me is I was a midwife for destinies and helping them to uncover that, to help people discover their crown and to put it on and wear it boldly. So that is what I do is I help people find their purpose, step into their purpose, let go of the stuff from the past so that they can be, because that's the journey I've taken. And I know the tools, I know the secrets, I know how to, it can be easy. It doesn't have to be hard. I show people where the easy button is. I wish somebody had shown me because, man, there was a lot of struggle along the way. But coaching made a huge difference in the rapid transformation.
Would you agree? This is my theory, and that's how I'm teaching it. And but I would love to have your take on this or how you see. I see three distinct parts of human evolution. And the number one is unconscious, stuck in the past of obviously events, trauma is running their life and results, most or lack of results. And then comes the next very exciting stage where the past is solved, resolved, is not controlling them anymore. I call this best version, but probably you might have another name. And then from there, because the problem is people want to jump straight away to life purpose, but they need to make that step where clarity comes. And that was me as well, that I just want to know, why am I here, what do I do now? That's not the first question. Who am I outside of my
Yeah.
past troubles and the dysfunctional relationship that I had with my dad? So how do you see this journey?
I think every one of us have got some kind of self-doubt and things that have happened to us. And our stories are just different. There's always something that's causing that. So yes, I agree. You can't jump from um, low self-esteem to changing the world. And so yes, the steps there that you talked about is a good sequence of events. And I think that we can continue to get freer, if I can use that word, from the things of the past. Because I had done a lot of work when that event 20 years ago pulled the rug out from under me. And that's one of the reasons I was frustrated is I had done a lot of work, but thinking that I was good, and then something happened. So as you go through, I don't really like levels of success, but you can as I grow as a person, as I grow, then I'm going to hit new giants. And the giants can show up and cause the some of the stuff from the past to show up. And I like what I say is the Holy Spirit has a new level of freedom for me instead of judging it and going, okay, so let's go a little deeper. You're ready. You've grown, you've gotten stable. Let's go a little deeper. So I think that the transformation can continue to occur. There's some major stuff that occurs in that stage of finding purpose. But as we find our purpose, and we conquer greater giants, if I'm using a biblical analogy of that, and using is as we do that, we're going to encounter different doubts, for lack of a better word. So you continue to grow and expand. And being in a community that allows that to occur, to have people around you that are allowing you to have that rally moment of helping you to see that is been life-changing for me.
That's very powerful. As you say, these seemingly random events of breakdowns are sometimes I feel like they are orchestrated or coordinated, so then we unlock new levels of
Yeah.
our potential and impact and freedom and living our authenticity. So, did you want to tell us who are your typical clients that you can work with or who should engage with you straight away? Who are they?
I love to work with, I call them heart-centered visionaries. People who do want to make the world a better place. They want to leave a legacy. They want to make a difference in the world, and helping them to step into that purpose and finding out how to get there. from a place of grace and ease. I talked about being a midwife for your purpose, or helping you align your crown, uh, getting into alignment with who you really are. One of the people that has spoken into my life, when I went to her for some advice, and she said, Donna, I really feel like God is saying you're a gift to the world. And I'm like, oh, that's really nice. She goes, but the person who's going to be most surprised is you. And so it's a treasure hunt. And the treasure's not out there. It's in here. It's what God has placed in me, and finding out what it is, learning how to use it, and then making a difference in the world. Because I've been speaking well, since I was in my 20s. Man, it was a mess
I can
when I
imagine.
started. But learning to be able to take it and improve and continue to improve, because communication is a skill that we learn. So if that's a gift, then how do I do it better? And all of those ways. And so to me, it's helping you discover the gift that you are, is what I love to do.
That's really exciting. We will have all your details and links under the video. Yet, I want to ask you, what's the best way to engage with you? Website or social media? Tell us.
Uh, I am on social media, and so feel free to message me. That is an easy way to talk to me. I have a YouTube channel called the Vibrant Living International Channel. That's another way that you can get to know me and see some of the videos I put out. And my website is another great place. On my homepage, I'm constantly updating it with new opportunities, free information, and you can schedule a call with me there as well. And my website is the letter I, vibrantliving.com.
Thanks for that. I was wondering if you could give away some golden nuggets. If someone is having a hard time, they are not sure about the career or the job, or their business is not going well, what would be 3, 4 steps to start to make this shift and accelerate it?
One of the first things that I begin to say is my past does not determine my future. And that is, unless you let it, because it can. But I begin to say that. And it's something you can say every day, because yesterday is now my past. And if something didn't go the way I think it should yesterday, my past doesn't determine my future. And so that is a great nugget. I'm going to give a couple of declarations or affirmations that you can say, that if you begin your day saying these things, it will make a difference. Always revisit your why, because we get tied up a lot of times in job descriptions, titles, um, past experiences in jobs. Instead of going, I want to be this, what about your other jobs did you like? What part of it lit you up? Because those are clues to purpose. And a lot of times we get tied up with title. So that is one thing, is what do you love? And write it down. Why do you love it? Why is it important to you? That my buzzword is identity. I want to stop identity theft. And that has everything I do is centered around that. And so identity is my word. And why is it important? Because it makes me angry. I started to say other words. It makes me angry when I see people not living the way that God created and designed for them to live. Whatever makes you angry, there's something in there for you. So discovering what you want, what is important to you, and doing that. And the third thing that I will say is get up every day and proceed as if success is inevitable. If you couldn't fail, because we could get into what failure means anyway, that's a whole nother thing. But if every day success was inevitable, what would you do today? What's one thing? Not the whole list, because we always have this humongous list that we don't know how to do, but what is the one thing? And the fourth thing is, don't do it alone. Today's culture is so full of knowledge. that we have very little wisdom on how to apply it to our life. So get a coach, invest in yourself, and choose wisely. Because anyway, I'll just leave it at that. Choose wisely with who you hire. So those are 4 things I would recommend.
Thanks for that. I so relate to identity because it is also a centerpiece of my work. But also how you said, get help is, I think there is some improvement from 20, 30 years ago when I was deeply stuck in my own patterns. Yet I think a lot of people are living so much under their true potential. And as you said,
yeah, but we DIY it.
Yeah,
You're going to do it. I need to figure this out on my own. And there's so much information that you can get nuggets, but none of it is honed in for you. So don't DIY it.
Easy to get overwhelmed. And I believe even some of those free sessions, when I finally realized that I need to get a specialist.
Yeah.
That's why we are not, I used to say this, you have legal problems, you're not going to see your dentist.
Right.
You will seek out whoever has the level of expertise and experience. So just another question, like, what drives you now? I'm guessing it's impact, but what would you be celebrating in 5 years' time?
Lives transformed. That's what I celebrate. That's my level, if you will, say success that I have, is watching lives transform. I want to help the people that want to make a difference in the world. So the ripple effect is, I won't even know in my lifetime, but helping that is what I love to do.
Probably not. I mean,
Yes.
I can see in the front of my eyes how, when lives are changed or some generational problem are solved, there is a brand new family tree growing out from that point.
Absolutely. Everything changes.
See how you are driving that change when finally one is asking for help and commits to the process. I'm wondering, what did you want to share today that I may not have asked?
Well, you used the description of my podcast. I have changed the name, but originally it was called You Were Designed for Greatness. And I think that's the last thing I really would like to say is maybe no one's ever told you that. Maybe you have trouble believing it. But you were designed for greatness. And small hinges move big doors. Doesn't have to be hard. So that's what my podcast now, if you want to find it, is called the Vibrant Living Podcast.
We'll absolutely put it under the video. Thank you very much for your time, and we'll hope to see you again.
Sounds good, Andre. Thank you. It's been a pleasure talking with you.
Thanks.